LaTB, where MMA and UFC get silly. This is the LaTB Podcast.
You're live.
Welcome back to LaTB MMA Podcast. As always, I'm your host Emmanuel here with the best producer in the game, Cheney, tearing up the boards, nonstop moderating in this bitch, getting on Twitch. I don't know if we can cuss on Twitch, but apparently we can because we okayed it with the bosses.
getting this bitch on Twitch. It was a good run.
So,
Oh, I thought I turned down my phone.
loving seeing everyone in the chat, by the way, for this inaugural LaTB MMA podcast on Twitch at Zol tonight. If you're going to be subscribing to that, JG's world winning federation, whining federation, better known as.
That's a champ.
Being in there, getting silly. He is a champ, unfortunately. He is. But we got a new season.
Buddy from MMA Marks also winging in. So those are all of the Fight Pick Championship folks. And if you haven't yet, we harass you every week. Download Twitch. It's so easy. Just do it. Do it! That's where I would have Shia LaBeouf. Just do it! That would be our other one with, fuck it, we'll do it live.
That would be an absolutely great one in there as well. But how do you feel about all the fighters getting dropped recently, all of the new fights being added? How is your MMA world right now?
Honestly, the only thing I know about really is Jon Jones. He said he was stepping down from his title and he's going up to heavyweight. And I don't know if that's real or not.
I don't know if officially he's not going to heavyweight. That's what the fans are speculating. I believe he will come back to fight at heavyweight. But Anthony Johnson already came out of retirement the day of. He's like, Jon Jones is in at 205. I'm coming back, boys. And we have Jan Blachowicz already booked against Dominic Reyes for the belt at 205. That's one of your cuties' number one fight against each other. How do you feel about that 205 belt on the line?
I've gone back and forth with it. I like Jan against Jon Jones. Those are the two guys I thought had a good opportunity to beat Jon Jones. It's a bummer. You're never going to get to see Jan against Jon Jones. But I think if Jon utilizes wrestling, it pretty much knocks Jan out of my head. But Dominic Reyes, I know Jon does not want that fight again. And for me, if I take Francis Ngannou, Stipe Miocic, or Dominic Reyes, I think Dominic Reyes is the hardest fight for the least amount of money if I'm Jon Jones.
Agreed. That's not going to be an easy fight for him. So I could see where he's going to have,
once.
Some people say a couple times. So,
well, at least
definitely
against Reyes that time, he lost, in my opinion. I've rewatched that fight too.
Shakes it up. I know that I've been a bit critical at light heavyweight with a lack of talent, but I feel like it's recently started to get deep in there, just like the heavyweights. And it's definitely a division that I'm looking forward to a lot of matchups, especially now that there's going to be a new belt holder in there.
Is for technical stuff, do you know how to change the topic or subject of the show?
The category,
so it says just chatting or chatting about MMA or talking about Frankie having no answers.
I'm sure someone on the chat will fill us in. So it's definitely because I don't.
All right. Yeah, I'll show you later. If you want to change it for this stream, it's cool, but it's not a big deal.
If it's easy, we can do it.
It should be pretty easy. I should let Buddy come on and tell you how to do it. It should be something at like the top of your screen. I think you go in and there's something that's like Twitch studio or live something. I don't know. I'm scared to pull mine up. I don't want to pull my Twitch up. It'll make the whole system
I
go down.
absolutely got it.
Oh, booyah. Look at that.
Now, and I think I can go.
This is a weird glass for me to drink whiskey out of. It's like a wine glass.
And just chatting. Thank you, chat, by the way, for filling us in with that with our inaugural Twitch. We understand that all of this labeling absolutely helps update information. There we go. Okay. I believe that is correct now. So,
boom.
Back to it, back getting into a fun week of fights, because not only is there all of the light heavyweight changes, all the mix-ups in all the divisions, the fighters that have been let go of, but there's also, Dana White Contender Series are happening in between all of these fights that are falling in, dropping out. We have 24-hour notice literally happening in a few fights this coming up weekend. So Dana White Contender Series kind of throws an entire other new. I'm in such MMA ecstasy all the time. I don't understand how
you are
starting,
coming
and I'm
in
like,
the
oh, there's so
gym,
much
and you are coming at home, and it's like you are always coming.
Always, 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 always. It's my favorite. It's my favorite. I hate having a life outside of just getting into fights, watching fun stuff, fun prospects, and whatnot.
I haven't watched the Contender Series yet, but so they've been doing all right.
There has been some great finishes, some great underdogs, and just the talent level, I still feel like it's fairly high. I know that I'm going to be fairly critical on that talent level here coming up on this Saturday card, but I do feel like the UFC is struggling at times and recycling multiple fighters over and over again. So,
do you have your best rendition of T. Woods falling in and out of love with you?
We've been, a few times. We've been there quite a few times.
But you've never done it on Twitch. Or have you done it on Wii?
Truth. I have not done it on Twitch. It has to come from, I'm sure it'll come up before this fight card's over. It has to come naturally.
Like Frankie Edgar? You think you'll sing it about Frankie Edgar?
Oh, there's many fighters on the card. It's definitely going to be a dicey weekend as far as bets are concerned. I don't know how many bettors can really be confident as chalky. We've seen a lot of these cards coming in, but we'll be able to drop that hit, I'm sure, soon enough.
And also shout out to Kill You All. He's also, we have a lot more people. There's so many people in the Fight Big Championships. Every one of these people streams on Twitch, and they're all pretty funny. I listen to a lot of them on there. I think they're also in Buddy's UFC 4 fight team, MMA Gods, and they kind of crack me up. So, and Ricky, we got the ref. It's getting good. Should get good.
Now you gotta watch that chat is filling up.
I know, we never have anything else to pay attention to but each other. So it's like so we talked about John Jones. I knew that was going to be controversial, that I think Dominic Reyes is actually the hardest fight of all those people for John Jones.
I just say he can't give DC a minute. He can't give a DC 30 seconds. He dropped that info as soon as DC retired and overshadowed all that.
Well, John Jones on his Twitter, though, was cheering for DC. You know, if it's all about money for John Jones, that was the trilogy fight. Even though DC's lost every time, people wanted to see it. People wanted to see it again.
Truth. So, I'd be willing to watch it again. For sure.
What else is doing with MMA? Well, tell me some of the news.
I mean, what to say? There's so much, so many booked fights, so many short notice replacements.
So Ricky
Again,
just
the
says,
drops.
Raya says that Jones left because the 205ers are getting too good. And if you think about it in a weird way, he beat a whole bunch of ancient dinosaurs in the division that made him the king. And now he's chasing those dinosaurs up to the heavyweight division. It's only Stipe up there.
Truth.
That's scary, I
It's
guess.
the truth. You're going to go fight 38-year-old, 39-year-old guys at heavyweight and be the young man again. And I think that it is. He's absolutely right, is Ricky, in that John Jones is probably ducking his toughest fights coming up next in his career.
I don't want to put too much of it on Ricky just in case he's like, I didn't say that, but he just said that John Jones with the 205ers are getting too good. That's what Dominic Reyes said. He was providing us some info.
Oh, okay. Well, I think Dominic Reyes and whoever else is saying it, because I'm saying it as well, is probably the truth.
Oh, is there a fight for John Jones? Because Ricky just said, thank God he doesn't
I
get
don't
a
know if
title
it's
shot
official.
first.
I don't know if it's official. I know there's a lot of speculations out there of if he's officially or not. I know that he is retired or at least moved away because of contractual agreements. So he said the same thing as most other guys. Pay me enough money and I'll come back. That's it.
He's like,
that retirement is
I
bullshit.
retire so I can go do a couple cycles while I'm out of USADA and then I'll be back.
Thank you. It's exactly what I would say as well. It's like I will make all the gains and then I'll get back on 6 months before and retain them gains. He's going to look up every bit of Anthony Johnson at 270, looking yoked out of his goddamn mind.
And then Anderson Silva's fighting Uriah Hall coming up.
That's a closed booking that they booked a few times over, maybe like 3 or 4. Fell out, so finally we're getting it. Hopefully it gets through. It's going to be a really close one at this point of Anderson Silva's career, I think. He's at definitely the twilight of his long tenured career. The GOAT in some people's eyes.
Isn't it weird though? The one guy he could catch like that again would be Uriah Hall still.
Uriah Hall's tendency to not show up at a fight happens more often than not. He supposedly got that under control, and I always like to back that with all of his psychologists and sports psychologists he's been seeing. But Anderson Silva is still a handful and will still finish many fighters at 185 pounds. Many fighters.
Yeah, so, and then Luke Rockhold's coming back. I know you're really excited about that.
I'm very excited to put a bet against Luke Rockhold. So that's going to be a fun one.
Even if it's against Chris Weidman?
We do have... Ooh. I got to see Rockhold win first, and then we'll see. Ooh, that's a dirty fight all of a sudden. Yuck. Twee.
I did not see GSP
They got
with
many
hair.
other fights.
That's a question from Ricky. Did we see GSP with hair?
I have not. I've only seen him, I guess, in like some swimming pool gifs coming around lately of him like working out. So cool.
Oh,
I like it.
weird.
I'm guessing he's gonna look like a JT.
Is that real?
Because he's never had hair.
This cannot be real. Hold on, I'm gonna show you.
Hold it up to the camera.
I'm gonna, if it opens. It was small and it was fine. It seems like it'll let me rip the image. I'll steal it real quick and then open it.
So
yeah, I don't know if it's real or not.
that is not GSP's hair. That's video game hair.
That's Ellen DeGeneres' hair.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so
That's
weird.
like one of those emo kid hair.
It's
The
so
emo
weird.
rock band kids from like the mid 2000s.
Yeah. It looks like they should play that Apex game.
Oh, War Machine. I believe War Machine had that. The guy who's in prison for the rest of his life for beating up Christy Mack.
Oh shit.
He had that hair.
Brutes.
For sure.
Brutes.
Yeah, brutal story. Poor Poor guy, rough life. So another battle-torn card that we're going to have to get into here is an 11-carder on UFC Vegas 7. We're going to get into this breakdown. We're going to always start it from the bottom to the top. If you got nothing else to get into,
I have nothing else. This card, what do you think of it?
it is going to be like lucky if it gets out as a C. I could see D potential all over this card.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like these ones, though, that it's like this one, nothing exciting is going to happen. It makes you watch a couple of guys you would have never normally watched. Somebody's going to be hungry. You might see a couple brutal knockouts or something.
Definitely agree with Mark's there. But it is definitely yuck. A lot of replacements of replacements filling in replacements. So the first couple ones, they're going to be not too delved into. It was hard to find a lot of good tape on any of these guys other than Timur Valiev at 135 pounds coming in against Mark, debuting Sturgill. I heard it earlier. Mark here, 18-2. Where is he out of here?
Philippines? Fist Gym?
Strigel.
Fist Gym?
Fist Gym in the Philippines.
Philippines?
Decision machine. He has got a couple submissions against some mid-level fighters, 13-4, 0-0 fighters as of late. TKO overturned against a veteran a year ago. The little tape I got against the 5'8" fighter is he moves forward on a center line, boxes all right, take down the fence isn't the best, but he sticks in a whizzer. Not the best gas tank. Well, not a bad gas tank, but really just kind of brawls and is kind of plodding forward. Where against the Timur Valiev here, the lucky, we've seen a lot of tape on him. He's gone a decision, been in championship bouts many times, beat Gutierrez as well. The 16-2 fighter was going to debut 2 weeks ago, but caught COVID amongst all of this, had to stay quarantined, is officially clean, and he's coming in on short notice on about a week and a half against the debuting Mark fighter here. I think Valiev is a better striker, better on the takedowns. He likes that trip outside to the knee. I think on top, he's definitely going to be able to keep it standing when he wants to and on the ground. Valiev is by far the better fighter. There's a reason he's a minus 500 fighter. DraftKings is going to be a crazy, crazy weekend of DraftKings because some of these intangibles. But I could even see Valiev for the finish here. I don't want any part of Mark Mugen. How do you pronounce his nickname there? Mugen.
Mugen? I don't
Mugen?
know. Mark
Sounds like a Pokemon
Strigel.
character.
He looks like he was on the TV show The 100. He looks like he dated Clark on The 100. Yeah, I'm just going to go with Valiev. He looks familiar, though. I thought he was in the UFC before. I don't know where I've ever picked him. I'm just going to go with the favorite. I'm going to stay away from this fight. He's a plus 500, which probably means he'll get submitted in the first round because they don't know anything about these first fights. It's so funny. The underdog, there's always a good opportunity for the underdog to win that fight, especially.
On DraftKings, Valiev is 9,100 against Mark's 7,100. I think if you're going to play a side, it's only Valiev. We like to tell you guys to stay away on DraftKings for these first fights because of the intangibles. But I do feel like the tape in the competition level is by far better for Valiev, and there's a reason it's a minus 500. So be aware of that one. Then we move on to 170 pounds, where we have a dirty double debut. Matthew Slemberg coming in against Colton Minus. Clutch Carl Minus. The dirtiest of dirty double debuts here. The 10-1 fighter Minus is coming off of a win after his first loss ever against Rick Story 2 years ago. Then he beat in a decision Ellis in there. 5 months ago. I'm really surprised that Minus is in the UFC right now. I feel like this is where on the Contender Series and some of these guys shouldn't probably be here. Minus just doesn't show that. Rick Story at the tenure of his career by far really just whooped up on Minus here, got him to the ground fairly easily. He comes in plotting forward as well on a straight line. He's fast and he throws piston punches straight, but his head movement's not there. And on the ground, he's just shown big holes on the ground as he doesn't have the best takedown defense, as I was saying earlier, even though he's beat a lot of low-level competition. Matthew Semi here is coming in with a 6-2 record. He's out of the Clinch Academy on a 3-fight winning streak, only lost via TKO with a big overhand right there. But he's a much more well-rounded fighter. I feel like I've seen him go to decision a few more times. He has good elbows in off the clinch, but he really likes heavy takedowns, stays heavy on top, more of that wrestling grinder, which I think stylistically is the exact worst option for Minus here. So give me Semi in here. Decision out of the two. Ooh, the finish, I think Minus has a little more likelihood, but probably just a big fat stay away as well. Give me Semi decision. Think he just is a better all the way around MMA fighter, not necessarily have the power there. Who do you think are going to be taken in this gross one?
It's crazy because isn't Simi the underdog?
He is the plus 125 underdog.
I like his look better. I don't know anything about these guys. He looks like a guy. The other guy in the two pictures that I'm looking at, Carlton Minus, he looks so excited to win like he never has won before. But look, he has a great record. He has a better record here, a ton more fights. The other guy, Simmelsberger, he just seems like he's gonna go throw everything out in the first 5 to 6 minutes. So if he doesn't finish him in the beginning of the fight, he looks like he's gonna gas out, and then Minus is gonna win a boring decision. But right now, I have Simmelsberger KO round 1. I'm gonna stay away from this fight too.
Wow, you also have the underdog here.
I didn't know it was an underdog though. And when
neither did
like
I.
A heavy favorite.
I mean, I think this one got put on like a week and a half ago, 5 days ago. So super short for both of these guys. Minus 8,500 against Semi here, 7,700. Ooh, I'm going to take shots on Semi in this spot, even though I'm telling people to stay away from it. I don't think Minus has proven his finishing ability at UFC level, but Semi's not UFC level. These are just guys that are here to fill up a card. UFC, Dana White said, hey, do you want a contract? They said, yeah, give me anyone. It could have been Rick Story again. It's Minus's ground game. He looked lost on the ground against Rick Story. And to look that lost at that high of a level, anyone in the UFC should be able to exploit a lot of that. Also, Minus had a killer promo where he was like, I'm going to have chicken, I'm going to have waffles, I'm going to have beer. He does seem like a fun character in there. So if he gets the win, expect a good interview from that young man. But that should be more than enough about that gross one. Then we move on to
fried chicken.
Whoo, that's the good stuff. To 205 pounds, we have debuting short notice replacement LFA standout Jordan Wright coming in against Ike Villanueva. The 16-10 fighter Villanueva came in and lost to Chase Sherman 3 months ago via elbows. The leg kicks really added up in there for the 36-year-old. He did fight Sherman at heavyweight, though, so he's dropping down, and he's one of those guys that didn't look necessarily that in shape. Like, he had fat to lose, a lot like Dawkins that we saw over the last weekend, where it's like, dude, you could be a 205er. If you just tried, you could be a 205er. But either way, Jordan Wright here is a solid 205er here at 28 years old. Jackson Wink standout. He's, of course, a John Jones training partner, but there is a rumor, there is some folklore out there that John Jones training partners tend to not be good at all because John Jones kicks the shit out of them all the time. Bevan Lewis, Hughes, Devin, Lewis Brown Bear, who is it? Few other guys in there where it just John Jones is the only good 205er that comes out of Jackson Wink. No other good 205ers out of there. So Ooh, it's interesting, but Ike Villanueva, I thought he came in short notice previously against Sherman to get that fight, so I don't necessarily see him being UFC caliber as well in there. This is a gross fight, but I think Wright can just keep a little more pressure on. He's a little more athletic, throws better leg kicks in here, especially if he takes after what Sherman did and just crippled Villanueva there. I'm going to be super hesitant. I know he's a fairly decided favorite, I believe, in the live bet right now for there's not even a real line for this fight right now. This was put on within 24 hours. This was the one. I caught, a little bit of tape right before this, like 3 hours ago. So I got Ike just because they athleticists, and I'm kind of just more fading Villanueva here.
Wait, you said you
gross
got
fight.
Ike.
Give me the Beverly Hills.
Oh, you have Wright.
What's that?
You said you have Ike. But
Right.
You have Wright.
Jordan
okay.
Wright.
Yeah, Villanueva to me is like literally the drawing of the can. Like he looks like a can. He looks like the character that you'd have to go up against in a fighting game to get past like round one. I'm just going with Jordan Wright because I like the Beverly Hills Ninja nickname. Do that thing. I think knockout round 2. I'm probably going to stay away from this fight as well. I don't like these first fights. I don't know nothing about these people.
It's not going to get much better. I mean, there's no official odds out for that fight right now, so be careful wherever side you go on. But I feel like Wright's going to probably be the favorite.
I might be saving my money this weekend. I might not be
not a bad one.
Of DraftKings.
We got cards for the eye can see. I mean, if you were to look out, you wouldn't see the edge.
There'd be no edge.
We got
It'd be an infinite plane of fights.
Absolutely, of fights in the distant future. So I love it, and we got contender series and all of it. Again, Gluttony is my name, and I love it. At 170 pounds, we got Dwight Grant coming in against short notice replacement Kalen Bourne. Grant
isn't Gluttony the grossest sin on Seven?
What is that?
That movie Seven with Brad Pitt, Gluttony. That's what I always think of. I always think of that guy that they forced to eat at the table until his like innards exploded. Yeah, it was just a table full of food and this big, huge, obese guy.
The original Saw.
What Seven was? See, I couldn't ever again after Seven. I was
I watched all Saw 3D.
I've seen enough.
All those garbage ones.
I know, and isn't it kind of funny too? The villain in Seven, Kevin Spacey.
Absolutely. Why do you think he could bring out the inner creepy? So that's some thoughts for you. So,
deep thoughts.
This fight, though, for Dwight Grant.
Speaking of body snatchers.
That is a good one. Jared Gooden injured himself about a week ago. So we have the replacement, Kalen Bourne, in here, 7-1 fighter, fighting out of Kansas City, Shootbox Kansas City. Has a guillotine choke in there, some other guillotines, rear naked choke submission, but he's fighting guys that are 2-2, 2-3. Dwight Grant, 35 years old, contender series standout, got a nasty KO, lost to Zach Otto, beat Perzoli, and won a split against Joe Ban in a close, controversial decision. Grant by far looks like the faster fighter here. His takedown defense has been tested a little bit too much, and that's what Bourne seems to like to do in there. So many intangibles here as far as whether Grant's gas tank, where it's at right now, especially from the ups and downs, because we've seen it with these guys that cut weight. If they hear they can balloon up to 185, 195 in the middle of a weight cut and now have to get that off. And it hurts.
What do you think of AKA right now? Do they have any good people coming out of AKA? When was the last good fighter that you're like, put your money on them?
Habib? Makhachev?
Habib, kinda. Every time doesn't it seem like the last few big fights he wasn't at that camp except for during right before it was go time? Didn't he seem like he was in Dagestan
Yeah,
a lot? I don't know.
he was.
I don't know. I'm gonna go with Grant KO round 2, but I don't. To me, it should be an easy fight. But where did Grant come out of nowhere? We haven't seen him in a year and 4 months, and then he takes this fight on short notice. That's weird.
Well, that's what his other fight, Gooden, fell out
Oh,
due
I
to
thought
injury a week
Bourne
ago.
fell out with Gooden.
No. Nope. Dwight Grant took, or Gooden. No, God, I'm mixing up all the names. Bourne took the fight over Gooden, short notice replacement. So he's taking a shot in here. If the best thing he can do is get this to the ground and try to submit this fight, get it there, show what Otto did, just try to grind him out. So I got decision right now. I could see move it to that finish depending on what weigh-ins looks like. I'm really iffy on the 35-year-old Grant out of the two. He just looks like he carries a lot of weight at 6'1" there. It's just something that we are going to have to be iffy on the scale. One of those to watch out for.
Shoveling body shots finish for Dwight Grant.
Oh, I love it. I love an uppercut or a knee finish. He's good in the clinch there.
I'm
There's
going to make
no
a
official
racist statement. If guys are hairy, they tend to have a soft midsection.
How's that racist?
I didn't know what else to call it. Harris? Sexist?
That's it. Any race can have a hairy chest, except Asians. But
boom! I knew it'd get racist.
I know, dang it. No, they absolutely can. I've seen some hairy chested guys. Good for them. But Dwight Grant here, DraftKings is the only one with a score at 8,800.
Is that Panda
no
Bears?
Score
like if it was a gay hairy Asian, is that a panda bear?
They have their own classifications. It would make sense to me.
Yeah, I know there's bears and seal pups.
Otters and all sorts of good stuff.
Oops. Okay.
For
Austin
the finish potential on Dwight Grant, 8,800, do you think you would play him at all?
Maybe. So far, he's the only name I know. So if I'm playing a DraftKings card, I might put Dwight Grant on it.
I agree. I think out of the two, he's probably going to be able to get the standing finish. But Bourne's live for the submission there. Blah, super gross. Be careful with that one. Then we move on to one that has actually been on the books for a little while here at 155 pounds. We have Austin Hubbard coming in against Joe Shalecki. Hubbard coming in of a huge win against Max Roshkoff, who was officially released after quitting in between rounds and saying he didn't have any more. He didn't want it. So Austin Hubbard making him quit in the corner. The team elevation fighter is definitely shown that he can go the distance. Heavy duty in there. He's got a well-rounded game. He's got who in his corner? Freaking Gaethje. Freaking who is the other son of a gun?
Elevation.
Drew Dober, Curtis Blades, Monsters.
Somebody new.
Monsters. Oh, yeah, he just went down there as well. So Hubbard is definitely putting in work with a very elite team right now. And against Joe Shalecki here, the 9-2 fighter, it's going to be a tough battle. A 4-fight winning streak coming off of the Contender series, beating Wall in a submission, last beating Matt Wyman in a decision. I'm absolutely dumbfounded that 8 months ago to now, after what we saw with Hubbard, that he's a -130 favorite is Shalecki here. Joe is solid, has to get the fight to the ground. He tends to wrestle a lot. His stand-up is good. His jab has gotten better. Not tons of power, but he's definitely a well-rounded fighter with a good gas tank who tends to grind out his opponents. But against Austin Hubbard here, he's been in much better fights for a lot longer. The 12-4 fighter's been in the UFC for quite a while, seeing fighters like Davi Ramos losing a decision, beating Propolek, losing a decision, last beating Rotzkoff. I may be inflating him with a different fighter, but either way, what we saw with Hubbard in here, the presence of mind, the shot selection, the takedown defense, the submission defense, which that's what Shalecki tends to get back to especially when it gets hurt. He gets to the ground and gets to work there. In Hubbard, who's shown against a very dangerous ground fighter here, that he can more than hold his own even against Davi Ramos on the ground there. Hubbard's shown if he take down the fence, and we've seen Shalecki be able to really manhandle guys with his takedowns, especially against Wyman. But Wyman, again, I think is absolutely in the tenure of his career. Not even. He shouldn't be in the UFC, as we've seen. And I think Shalecki's got a lot of tough fights ahead of him. Give me the slight underdog, minus 150. Second underdog of the night, apparently, for me. I think Hubbard should actually be like a minus 140, minus 150 favorite here. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we'll
No,
see
I
what
totally
happens. This
agree.
is a fun one.
I think Margot Madsen is so much better than Selecki. So even as that being the last loss for Hubbard, ground wise, it's like one of the things that Hubbard's so dangerous with is that he is a grinding fighter and he's really well rounded. So Margot Madsen just stifled that part of his game because of how good Margot Madsen is. No offense to Joe Selecki, it isn't even close to Margot Madsen. So I feel like if Austin Hubbard wants to keep it on his feet here, he's going to have the better hands all day. He's the more well-rounded fighter, and I think he's going to be stronger to the finish of the fight. I only have Hubbard by decision right now. Even if I see a finish coming, I see it Hubbard by knockout. But right now, I got Hubbard decision. I like Joe Selecki okay. Austin Hubbard's just doing everything right for me. I think he should be the favorite, too. I think you're so right there. Like, plus 150. That seems easy.
The actual opening line here was Austin Hubbard minus 120. The betting lines, the bettors have moved that all the way to plus 115. Austin Hubbard live right now. Hey, if you're listening this live, this line's going to close up to a coin flip minus 100, minus 100 by this is all done with it. So get your money in on Hubbard now because it's absolutely live. If not, should be the outright favorite as the initial odd setters had it. I like Hubbard in a lot of spots here. I think out of the two, he's the more likely fighter to finish from what we saw of late. He looks dangerous in there. He looks like he's a guy who really starts to get good in that second and third round, even though he has a good first. I mean, I really liked what I saw from Hubbard as of late. Shalecki over here on DraftKings is going to be 8,400 against Austin Hubbard, 7,800. This is where if you look at the points on average, 96 point for Shalecki in one fight against Wyman, against Austin Hubbard's 56 average. So take that for what it's worth. Give me Austin Hubbard here. I'm going to be playing probably in like 30% of my cards. I feel like I can pivot on him pretty well to allow a lot of relief in a lot of my other DraftKings cards.
Agree. That's a good pick right now. That's a good under or a good shot at like mixing Hubbard on a weird parlay.
Right, to give you that a little spread out of the odds.
Yeah.
A plus money fighter. Absolutely in there. And at 115 pounds, we're going to have another one that I feel like I was wishing I was off on the odds, but they seem to be right about on. Mizuki Inoue coming in against Amanda Lemos at 115. The 7-1-1 fighter Lemos avenged her only loss. Didn't avenge. She won after losing her first fight in the UFC against Leslie Smith 3 years ago. Took a hiatus. I believe there was some steroid use in between there. Came back, beat Miranda Granger in a submission 7 months ago, which Granger had a lot of hype there. I was big on Granger, big wrestler there. Lemons really showed that she had to get it to the ground. Once she got it there, she showed that she was a lot better than Granger level of fighter, who was a Contender Series standout as well. So Lemons really just showing educated ground game. Striking looked like it started to get a little bit of power in here. She does look like she's going to be the bigger fighter overall, because Inoue's always looked a little small for 115, even though she's only an inch shorter at 5'3". She's just smaller framed, but she definitely packs a punch in that frame, being a
real quick,
very
Inoue's fought at 115 before?
Yes, she has multiple fights, even in Invicta.
All right, I just see that her fight was at 125, so I was like, as she looks small for 125, it is now finally going down to 115, but okay.
I think she even could have fought at atomweight. I could be getting her mixed up. There's been so many fighters recently, but at 105. but I think she moved up to 115. But she's just still 26 years old, so she's growing. She's going to be fine. But she comes from a lineage of martial artists. Her brother being a big, I believe, resin or one fighter out there with a lot of credentials. But on the ground, Inoue is a high level Japanese jiu-jitsu fighter, Hirokashami karate out there. I believe she does train with Sarah Longo as well on the side whenever she can get work in there. She's got an educated jab, not a lot of power. She'll kill you by 1,000 cuts, but she really just keeps up volume, has great takedown defense, and when she gets on the ground, she's more than serviceable off of her back, and on top, she can really hold position well. Her takedown defense does hold up, and that's where I think this fight's going to really get to. Lemone's, even though she's gotten better at striking, she gasses out of both fighters by far, and I feel like that's where Inoue's getting a lot of this. Inoue's got a solid chin, good fight IQ. I think once Lemone's gasses on the feet a little bit and can't get it to the ground, she's just going to kind of eat a good amount of shots, and it turns into a 29-28 type of decision anyway, if not 30-27. I like the favorite here for all the right reasons. Who do you think are going to be taken?
I had Lemos decision, but now I'm like, oh, am I wrong about it? When her standing elbow loss to Leslie Smith was so long ago. Miranda Granger submission. I don't know what to think. She did come back looking stronger. I don't know anything about Inoue yet. I'm just going to stick with Lemos' decision. I think she can get her on the ground and hold her there enough to eke out a 29-28, but could definitely see myself changing. I want to watch these two women face off. I have a feeling Lemos is going to be a lot bigger than Inoue.
I think she's going to look a lot bigger as well. On DraftKings, you're going to get the minus 185 favorite, 8,600 Inoue against Lemone's 7,600. On average, 60 or 76 points for Inoue, Lemone's 72 points. Do you think you're going to be playing either one of these ladies on DraftKings?
Ugh, I don't know. I doubt it.
I doubt it as well.
I'm going to go heavy on one of these ladies.
I feel like the winner probably gets 60 to like 58 points or something like that. Loser gets 30, and that's just because that 30 points goes the opposite way. But yeah, there's no way I'm paying 8,600 for Inoue. So if you want a shot, it's probably on Lemons there. Be cautious. Big fat stay away from the entire night. Don't bat the house on these ones. Don't do anything crazy. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Save your money for other weekends coming up. But we tend to do the inaugural getting the business done. I don't know how that's going to run on Twitch here because we do break into that FPC. What everybody in the chat's here for to get in their picks.
I think we could drop the business here, and then we can just do the rest of the show. I think the next fight card, the next fight of the main card, it could be the fight of the night to me. The Sato versus Rodriguez is the fight I think I might be most excited about on this fight card. That's how you know it ain't great.
I think you're absolutely right at 170 pounds. They are absolutely a fun stylistic matchup right now. Sato's coming in with a 16-3 record coming off of a win against Jason Witt, ground and pound. Prior to that, losing to Belio Muhammad, getting some wins over Ben Saunders in there. The Japanese fighter is somewhat reminds me of Yushino coming in there with like his jab, how he kind of pumps it out. Solid ground game, solid wrestling, but a good MMA fighter all the way around. A little bit of power in there. Even in the pancreas, he had a legitimate record on the ground. He can be a demon. His wrestling is definitely legit here. But Daniel Rodriguez has been a money-making machine here at LaTB. D-Rod's been coming in hot. We've been betting him heavy. It's worked out. The Gracie, or the 10th Planet brown belt, or he's purple belt. I believe he might have moved up to brown since his last couple fights. Is 12-1 fighter, has a checkered background, has all of the incarcerations that he's gotten over, turned his life over to MMA, and all he does is train and take care of his kids, and it's all working out now that he's getting some heavy duty finishes. The reason I'm liking Rodriguez is because saw it on his regional stuff. Granite chin, wicked left hand, He's a southpaw in there, I believe. Switches it up fairly well, but uh, he gets better as the fight goes on, and he starts out hot. He starts out fast, and his third round is always his best round in most fights. Against the Dirty Bird, he was able to really put that on, get to submission, strikes, ended up really adding it up. And then against Green, Rodriguez set the third highest amount of strikes landed against his opponent against Green 2 months ago. So he was like 170 something points on DraftKings was Rodriguez. And his both first fight was like 120. So on DraftKings, he's been nothing but a money pot here. And against Sato, it's going to be tough because Sato likes to push the pace. He likes to use his wrestling as well. But in that third round, Sato starts to really fade in the end of the second round here. And I think Rodriguez is going to be too hard to flat out knock out. And on the ground, 10th Planet guys have more than good enough credentials. And the triangles off of Rodriguez's back and his mission control are just awesome. It's just nothing but good news. There's going to be hard against these lower level guys for me to pick against Rodriguez. I think a lot of people are starting to see that. We got a legitimate contender here at 170 pounds. Give me Rodriguez up and down the street. You can take Sato all day, Ricky. We'll see where you end up in them 5 big championship.
I know. This is Sato's Ricky's PVZ. He's trying to convince us to go with Sato. Sato has heavier hands. I think he has the more power here. But it, like you're saying, it's so diminishing. Rodriguez has the better head movement. He does get hit, but Rodriguez is a durable dude. If he ends up on his back, he isn't scared of being there. And I think he is just the more well-rounded guy. He has more weapons, and I love Rodriguez's heart. He's one of my favorite guys to watch in there. It's like we never I don't know if we've mentioned it enough, but he's definitely moving into like the LaTB one to watch to me. Like you said, he's a contender at 170. I think so too. I think this is kind of a perfect fight for him to build. It'll be stand up and exciting, and for him to look good anywhere. I have decision right now, Rodriguez. I don't see him knocking Sato out. I could see him submitting Sato if Sato were to follow him down later on in the rounds, come the third. But right now, I have a D-Rod decision.
On DraftKings, you're going to end up paying for D-Rod $8,700 against Sato's $7,500. I would pay more for Rodriguez, honestly, in this spot. I would easily go 9-1 and be like, okay, so this is one of the guys that I'm going to also be pivoting, lynch pinning in. The average points of minus 150, the average points on DraftKings of 115 points, I think is going to bring a lot of I think he's going to be heavily owned. I'm going to be unique there in picking Rodriguez, even though he's a big favorite. He's just proven to be able to push those points out as far as DraftKings is concerned. Do you think you're going to be taking Sato at 7,500 anywhere?
No, I don't see him finishing Rodriguez at all. I don't know. He's not going to submit him. He isn't going to knock him out. Could he get a decision if he knocks him down? Maybe. That's the best thing I have going is like if Sato gets a knockdown in round one and then Rodriguez so that'd be a draw for Sato is the best thing I see happening. I'm not going to put Sato anywhere, but I'll have Rodriguez on a lot of my cards.
I agree. I'm in that going to be that 30-40% range for sure. It's going to be maybe even more percentage on Rodriguez there.
I thought Ricky was going to go with Daniel Rodriguez because he wore his tap out shirt on his last show. And I thought he was paying homage to D-Rod's gym.
So definitely good luck with that one over at Ricky at the MMA Marks Boys. So then we have probably a fight of the night contender at 125 pounds. We got Marina.
I better not see Rodriguez on your card after Ricky. I better not see Rodriguez on your card after Ricky.
I totally agree.
We know you can make those picks in the closet, but afterward, it all comes to light.
So definitely a fun one. that we have ahead of us with Agapova against Dotson here at 125. Dotson being 3-4, losing all but one of her UFC bouts, beating Ariel Beck, losing to Mueller, losing to Mazzo, losing to Priscilla Cachoeira 5 months ago. Really surprised that Dotson is even in the UFC. It's lacking division at 125, not a lot of talent there. Nagapova has come in as a humongous favorite and keeps getting steamed up. And it says at minus 850, but I believe it's higher than that. Minus 1250 for Agapova. Nobody's giving Dotson a chance, and rightfully so. Dotson gets in there and really doesn't throw any volume, has garbage takedowns, really sits back and just tries to throw one overhand right, but she'll only throw like 3 or 4 an entire fight. Especially if somebody's on her giving her pressure, then she has even lower output. I think they're just setting Agapova up for a nasty finish highlight reel. They're kind of giving her a easy stepping stone, letting her highlight. The Kazakhstani fighter came off the Invicta series. She did go to the Contender series, lost to Tracy Cortez in a close split decision. Not split decision. Cortez won that heavy duty. But Agapova made the right steps and moved to the United States here in Florida, where she talked about recently, if you haven't seen, Agapova's like, I don't get what a washing machine is or a dishwasher. She's never seen them. Doesn't even understand the technology. She doesn't know how to plug them in.
She came to the right place because we don't use washing machines in Florida.
So I'm sure wherever she's living at
we
in
have
the high life, she's learning.
We have those scrubs.
That's what she said. She was washing out her clothes, and people are like,
And when I do the scrub, you have a spoon, and you're like, meow, 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 and I'm like, meow, meow.
So Agapova in there getting a lot of high level training and showing us as of late against Hannah Cyphers 2 months ago how many leaps and bounds she's grown since being over at American Top Team, training with JJ, training with all those up and comers, really getting her wrestling on point. Her ground game looks unbelievable. She is a kickboxing Muay Thai fighter, nasty knees, great clinch on the outside, really long. Even though she's got a shorter reach in there, but she looks like she loses her length. I mean, Agapova everywhere. I don't need to keep breaking it down. She has every single check mark in this against Dotson.
I totally agree. The only question, it is the Fight Pick Championship. How do you see it ending precisely?
Oh, I got a TKO round number 2. I could even move that to 1, but I think I'm going to stay 2 Agapova.
I have Agapova submission round number 1. I see her getting up against the fence. I see her doing some nasty clinch work, like you're saying, nasty knees, elbows. And when Shanna Dobson bends down to do the desperate single leg, she's going to get that neck snatched up. Agapova. So,
I like that.
Round 1. But I like the Agapova everywhere. Dobson's never shown up. She's never been in the UFC yet.
Absolutely in there. 9,300 for the humongous favorite Agapova against 6,800 for Dotson. Don't put Dotson everywhere. Put Agapova on that 70% range if you want to for 93. Maybe 50% overall. I don't think I go more than that on most guys anymore. But either way, I'm only going to be playing like 4 cards, so 75%, I don't know, of your cards have Agapova. I mean, I feel like she's pretty much a lock of free space there for a lot of points. Because if she doesn't win by a sub or a finish, she's going to rack up 100 points in strikes.
Yeah, I think so. I just don't see how she doesn't finish. Dobson's got quit.
I agree with that. Another interesting matchup at 205 pounds. We got Mike Rodriguez coming in, Prachnio about being 13-4 in there. He has not shown up in the UFC as well. Came out of that one fighting championship, got some wins, some losses, but came in against Sam Alvey, where we in person watched him walk into a Sam Alvey punch with his hands at his waist. We watched him just be like, hey, look at me. And then he decided to do that again against Mankhamed Ankalaev, head kick, wasn't necessarily that dramatic, but really just the strike defense for Pacquiao is non-existent. It's the stage, the show, the fans getting to him, and maybe being at the Apex Center with the closer cage, the smaller cage with the lack of people, he can show up, but he's a Dotson right now. The same as the last fight. He's somebody who has not shown up and got finished by Ankalaev. That's not bad. But Sam Alvey at this point, the way he did, is burned into my mind. And how bad of a finish that was and how it didn't need to happen. But he shows that he can throw heavy punches. He's got a good leg kick and serviceable ground game. But against Rodriguez here, the Contender Series standout ended up losing his debut against Devin Clark, where he defended 9 takedowns, got taken down once, but ridden out. Beat Milstead TKO. John Allen decision was turned over, I believe, to Marijuana. And then as of late, lost to Jung TKO, right cross, ground and pound. Rodriguez had a lot of hype because of his Contender Series fight, and again has just been kind of hit and miss. So I think it's a loser leaves town type of situation. They're both on a 2-fight losing streak. I feel like Rodriguez has more potential overall on the ground off of his back. He's got a better ground game, but his gas tank is just lacking. And Pacquiao, on the regional scene, he has kind of an iffy gas tank. In the UFC, we haven't seen it because he gets knocked out too early. But Rodriguez has the better clinch here. Outside striking defense has looked like trash. So there's a reason Rodriguez is a big favorite, but I think this is one that can shit all over the bus. This one can shit all over your bed. This one can shit everywhere. Do not be comfortable with Rodriguez at minus 230. This is not an Agapova type of Dotson play. Rodriguez has shit on bus many times, and he is likely to do it again. But Pacquiao is a nobody as far as I'm concerned. Give me Rodriguez TKO round number 1. I'm saying that. But
you were just trying to make the Fight Pick Championship shaky right then. They were like, should I change my pick right now? They were all like, oh, should I get Pacquiao?
No, Pacquiao's fucking garbage, but it is a bad fight. It's a bad fight.
I think it's almost a fight, though, to make Rodriguez. I did have Rodriguez KO round 1, too. But like you're saying, I think it's a bad fight as well. Rodriguez should just be better everywhere in the smaller cage. He should be able to knock him out in round 1. But because I have Rodriguez decision on D-Rod, I'm just going to keep it easy. I got all Rodriguez's, all decisions.
I was going to say LaTB rule. All Rodriguez, no Rodriguez. And right now I'm thinking all Rodriguez.
All Rodriguez. And if I move Rodriguez up to knockout round 1, I might move other Rodriguez to knockout round 3 if I'm feeling knockout heavy. But I actually like Slow's chances of knockout over Pacquiao a lot better than Rodriguez's over Sato.
You think Sato is more dangerous?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love a Polish fighter, and Pacquiao is my least favorite Polish fighter.
Good to know. On DraftKings, Rodriguez is going to be 8,900 minus 230 favorite against Pacquiao, 7,300 big underdog here. This is where I'm saying stay away on DraftKings, and I'm being super hesitant. Even on parlays, Rodriguez is the guy to keep out of your parlays. He's not the easy check mark in there. Pacquiao can just throw in heavy, stupid overhand right and land. So Rodriguez here, on average, 54 points for 8,900. It's not a guaranteed lock. A lot of people I think are going to go heavy on Rodriguez as well for that price tag. And this is a fight that I'm going to probably be underexposed to. But out of the two, it's got to be Rodriguez. Probably put him in 10% of my lines up. Pacquiao on 0.
Yeah. I'm going to go a little heavier with Rodriguez, but Pacquiao nowhere.
Then we move to the co-main event of the night, 205 pounds. We got Ovincent St. Preux coming in against Alonzo Menefiel. Menefiel being in on about a week's notice here. Stepping in on short notice against Samil Gumzatov withdrew due to injury recently. So Menefiel just started cutting weight. The Fortis fighter is coming in off of his first loss ever 2 months ago to Devin Clark. He was actually the fighter who held Devin Clark to only 1 takedown. Alpha 9 shots. I got that mixed up because that Devin Clark damn references. 2 months ago, though, Alonzo Menafield finally showed one of his weaknesses, being a heavy-duty striker in there, showing a ton of power, beating Pokrig in there via knockout, beating Moreira, who I've told you guys was in UFC caliber, and Boat White in there. It doesn't really look that good all of a sudden. But he does have some submissions in there. At Fortis, I feel like Fortis fighters tend to be 155ers, 170 guys, not even 70 guys. I want to say 145, 155ers is what they're known for. But I do feel like who is it? Menafield here has shown elite level striking that is going to put a lot of people in a lot of bad spots, but that gas tank is just suspect, ultra suspect. And OSP is the guy who's had a little more time to train for this, is coming back down from heavyweight, where he lost a split decision 3 months ago to Rothwell. Prior to that, being Omelianchuk as a huge underdog, where he used that veteranship against Omelianchuk as a big underdog to wear the first round and then win the second and third handedly. Take him down and just win a boring OSP fight. OSP is 37 years old and he's finally started to slow down, but he has a lot of power and he has that Von Flue choke. It happens to everybody. They just automatically reach for that and will get Von Flue, and he looks for that. So you always got to be careful with it. Menafield does have a heavy duty neck game in there, but I don't think it's going to save him from that Von Flue. I am so in the same boat as I am with this other fight. Menafield hasn't shown me much against really high-level guys. And OSP, regardless of love him or hate him, Beth Rothwell had a handful against a 205er in there. And OSP against John Jones on a week's notice went all 5 rounds. So OSP knows how to just kind of lull you into a really slow, boring fight, which I think is kryptonite for Menafield. Menafield does his best when people get up in his face and start to bang. He's faster and got more power. But I feel like this can go to a coin flip of a fight by the time it's done. And I initially have OSP submission round number 2. I could even see that round number 3. But I want to fade that age. I want to fade that. But Menafield's gas tank was truly bad. And on short notice, against, I feel like, an arguably as good a wrestler as Devin Clark, with the same amount of gas tank as Devin Clark, with bigger punches.
Second
Somebody
biggest
has to
legs
actually...
behind Devin Clark's OSPs.
What's that?
Second biggest legs behind Devin Clark's or OSPs.
Agreed with that. Absolutely in there. But I think OSP is a better finisher than Devin Clark by far. Mm-hmm. So if it gets into that territory, I mean, I'm going to have to go OSP submission round number 3. Oh, I think you got to have exposure to both sides of this. It's short notice. They're in a smaller cage. It's tended to go for the grapplers more. I feel like the better grappler here is OSP. I'm going to go with the slight underdog. Gross fight. Absolutely gross fight. I think you got to have exposure to both sides of it because either one of these guys is live for the finish. Who do you think are going to be taken here?
I don't see the flash submission happening for OSP at all. I think if OSP gets the submission, it's really late and it's after he plays possum for a whole round where we're like, damn, how is he taking all that damage? And then all of a sudden we think OSP's out of it and then he snatches up that neck. Menafield, though, like you're saying, he burns out. So OSP is a guy that can take so much damage. He shells up nice. He covers his body where he needs to, covers his head. It looks like he's taking a lot more shots than he actually is. You kind of think he's out of there the whole time he's in the fight. He has a really awkward fighting style. I think he makes a fight boring in the exact same way Devin Clark makes a fight boring. I think he can be a smart enough fighter. When you look at the guys he's losing to, it's the tops of the tops, and Menafield isn't that. You got to think that OSP knows everything he has to do, especially in a 3-round fight, to at least 29-28 Menafield. Maybe take a little bit of damage, do some leg kicks in the first round, take away some of that power, and then goes where he needs to go. I'm giving Menafield some credit here that OSP doesn't get that neck. I think Menifield's going to fight that wrist the whole time, and that's why I see it's going to be a very boring fight. That come the ladder in round 2, all of round 3, it's OSP on top of Menifield just battling his wrist. So I see this being a dud. I do have Ovince St. Peru as well, but I do think on a DraftKings you might expose yourself to both dudes on separate cards.
Absolutely. Excuse me, absolutely there. There's no way you stack these guys, but exposure to either one. And they're going to be in that mid range. Officially, we have the slight favorite, Menefield, on at minus 130 against OSP's plus 1010 or plus 110 on DraftKings, 8,300 for Menfield against OSP's 7,900. Again, 10 and 10%. I could see them both likely to get the finish, but the 10% is because if it goes to decision, it's going to be, like you're saying, super slow and gross.
Yeah, I am going to probably only do one DraftKings card, and I will tweet it out.
Love it there. Then we finally get to the main event. At 135 pounds, we got a 5-rounder between Pedro Munhoz coming in against Frankie Edgar. The answer has not had too many good ones lately against Chan Sung Jung 7 months ago. Prior to that, losing to Max Holloway in a decision, beating Cub Swanson, losing to Ortega in there, beating Rodriguez. Frankie Edgar, the 23-8 fighter, is a longtime veteran, former champ, moved down from 55 to 45, now down to 35. The 38-year-old is definitely always been a smaller fighter at 5'6", and is probably going to look still small, I feel like, the Munhoz, because he cuts from a regular bigger weight, where Frankie's slowly just kind of gone down. His gas tank is still legendary. He still has some of the best fight IQ in the game. It's just that legendary chin is no longer there. It used to be against Greg Maynor, but Greg Maynor has no long. I mean, I don't think is in the UFC, but
Why
as of
haven't we
late,
seen Pedro Munhoz in so long?
A year ago, Aljamain Sterling, I don't know if it was an injury. I didn't pick one up really. COVID has been tough for a lot of people. Could have been visa issues in those first couple months. I couldn't tell you. But Pedro Munhoz being 18-4, coming off of the loss to Aljamain Sterling a year ago, beating Cody Garbrandt a year, 5 months ago, beating Caraway as well, Brett Johns. Munhoz comes in with heavy power, slings heavy leather, really throws from the hip, but he's comfortable with really letting his hands go because his black belt and his guillotine is absolutely brutal in there. He will snatch up a guillotine on the best fighters and has done time and time again. Frankie Edgar loves an outside knee pick trip. He's been doing it forever. He'll jab right to the chest, slink it up to over the neck, and throw the trip knee. But he's done it so much that everyone really looks for it now, and I think Munhoz is more than ready for it. I do feel like if it gets to the ground, Frankie Edgar is going to be able to stifle Munhoz, and Munhoz really has a guillotine-heavy, Kimura-heavy game, and Frankie Edgar has been able to defend that by far in his career. It's going to be the striking and that lack of chin for Frankie Edgar. I don't think Munhoz is a better striker, but I do think he just throws with so much more power and is willing to eat a shot, and Frankie Edgar can't take one, that I did have a TKO round number 3 Munhoz, but the more I'm thinking about it, it's going to be round 2, maybe even moving that to round 1, depending on what the weigh-in looks like for Frankie Edgar there, because he's the guy that's going to be taking the step out of his weight class essentially here. I don't think that helps his chin to dehydrate himself even more. So that's why I'm even thinking that I might go round 1 TKO Pedro Munhoz. It doesn't matter what the shot's going to be. I just don't think Frankie Edgar at this point of his career can absorb the wildest of strikes. And Munhoz has good enough wrestling and takedown defense to keep it up long enough to land a damaging shot. In their primes is a different story, but in his prime is Munhoz, and not in his prime, Frankie Edgar.
You know, if you were to ask me, what do you like best about Frankie Edgar's game? I would say his speed. And I think the more he drops, the more he loses that speed. And so I think going against Pedro Munhoz, I see him being even on speed. I think Pedro Munhoz, like boxing, Frankie has Chris boxing. He's like a well-rounded dude. I don't like his chin, but Frankie just has too much tape. He just has too much tape out there. He's not changing anything. The holes that have been seen, once they were seen, they just get seen over and over again. Pedro Munhoz is one of those guys that can capitalize on it. I like everything he's doing everywhere. That's why I'm so surprised that it's been over a year since we've seen him last time. Pedro Munhoz is definitely one of the guys. I don't know if I've ever bet against him yet since I've been watching him do UFC. I'm actually looking at the Brett Johns fight thinking I might have picked the John Dotson fight. I think I picked John Dotson or Pedro Munhoz in that, and he lost. So he hasn't always done good for me, but most of the time. I got Pedro Munhoz. I'm going to go with a knockout round 2. It's Frankie's chin, Frankie's age. What is Frankie doing this for at this point anymore? Like, if you're going to keep cutting, it's not even just because you love the game. There's something in your head that says you're still a title contender. And it's not anything against Frankie. I definitely think he's one of the greats. He's a Hall of Fame dude. But if you still see yourself as a title contender, and I see 5 guys in every division that you just been in that will slay you, and I feel like something's off up there.
But he can't have that mentality that he's going to be weaker, and that's the hard part with just some of these winners. Not that Frankie Edgar is an irrational man, but he has to have that absolute confidence in himself to be a title contender, or it's not worth it for him to fight. But I feel like a lot of this night is stepping stones. A lot of these people are kind of getting platforms to really put highlights on their career.
Do you
and
think
I feel like that's a lot of this
reason
night.
people fight is for a title? To me, that is just such a small, like, especially at Frankie's age, that makes it even more dangerous at his age and his career. If you're not just fighting to fight, that makes me even more worried. Like, you're like, what's my best way to a title? If he loses this, are we going to see Frankie Edgar at 120 or 150? Like, are they going to make a new division? It just gets to this point of like, dude, it's been like a year and a half, 2 years, and we've seen you change weight classes how many times? Like, I don't know. No. I used to love the answer, but I feel like I've erased my chalkboard.
Absolutely. The equation has moved on. It is a new one, and he's definitely got the old answers, unfortunately. Munhoz being 9,000 even on DraftKings, minus 230 favorite against Frankie Edgar, 7,200. The plus 185 underdog is definitely gonna be one of those dogs that you gotta leave it alone. He's gotta I don't know what's gotta happen, but I feel like
I feel bad after I said all that
finish.
stuff about Frankie. I have to say the exact same shit for Pedro. I feel like Frankie can connect with Pedro and knock him out too. That's the only way this fight goes, is one of the guys is getting finished, and it's going to be in under 3 rounds.
It's a 5-rounder. I like that bet. Under 3 rounds. Like I'm thinking I'm going to move it down to like round number 1. I'm going round number 1. Pedro Munhoz in there.
See, I think they feel each other out in the first round. I think I have Pedro round 2 right now. I think because it's a 5-round fight, we get a little feeling out session. And I don't think the one way when Pedro Munhoz, I always think back to that Cody Garbrandt fight where Cody just came in so hot, it forced Pedro to react so hot. That's not Pedro Munhoz's normal fight style. And I think Frankie Edgar is a pretty slow starter too for a 5-round fight. He seems to I don't know. So I'm going to go with 2 right now. Did I give away too much info for my fight?
No, not at all. I don't think so. That's the way it's got to be. We got to give our picks genuinely how we feel about them. I'm going to be also trying to pay up for Munhoz where I can in these spots because I do like the finish for him. I'm not going to be putting Edgar anywhere as far as DraftKings is concerned. Again, if I like that prop bet in the first or second round, so under 2.5 rounds. I think you're saying under 3.5, and in a 5-rounder, I think you can make those. So it's going to be a fun one. We did all 11 bouts. Evil Twin was unable to make it. He had some evil scheduling ahead of him. Luckily, I didn't have to hear that gargoyle for a whole 15 minutes in there. But he did send me his card for the first time ever ahead of the show. regardless of what he says, do you want to know any of his picks on any of the situations, or do we let that leaping dog lie?
I would like to know. Let's hear what his unders ones shit were. I'm interested.
Oh,
I feel
as
like
far as like,
you know what was weird though. I feel like we all agreed on one
I
last
haven't told
week,
you what. Oh, uh-huh.
and I don't think it did
Which one
great.
was that?
Maybe it was the week before. But I think last week, Evil Twin might have come in last of the three of us.
I would agree with that. He absolutely did. By far come in
Oh,
last. He
oh
only got like
shit.
3 or 4 right the
Oh
entire night.
wow. But you know what?
Garbage. Oh,
Making picks on
garbage.
our show could fuck up his picks because when we first started the Fight Pick Championship, it messed up my picks for a little while. When we
Make no excuses for the heathen. Absolutely none. He comes in here and berates and tries to throw shade. We got a long season ahead of us, buddy, and it's been coming out hot over here for E on the LaTB show. On some of his picks here, he's coming in with the favorite Valiev. He likes minus, who's the favorite. We have the underdog in semi here.
Mhm.
We're the only two that are standing out there. He actually has Villanueva. So good luck with that. But 205 or 205 match, Wright is coming in on 24 hours notice, so maybe he sees something there. He likes Grant for that TKO round number 1. Thinks Grant's going to have a lot of power, I'm assuming there. He's going with Shalecki in there as a favorite, but we have Hubbard as the underdog as well. So he's going heavy and paid on these favorites, I feel like, other than Villanueva. He's going Inoue decision. He got Rodriguez TKO round number 1. That's our Rodriguez, so he thinks Sato is nothing in there. We're still a little mixed on that, still having the finish. He's going Agapova submission round number 1. He's going Rodriguez decision against Prakniau. I think that's super off.
That's what I got too.
Oh, jeez.
I
They're
got
both
2
off.
Rodriguez D's. I got 2 Rodriguez D's though.
That interesting. Okay. Going with Menefield TKO round number 1 against OSP. Good luck with that, Evil Twin, you dumb son of a bitch. So
You just talk so much shit tonight, motherfucker.
Then he's got Pedro Munoz TKO round number 1. So that's the first time I saw his picks as well, but I know he sent them earlier.
And another thing before we jump off real quick. So we've given tons of shout out. I don't know if we've said it on this show, but Kevin from the Backlog Network did a killer job putting together the Fight Pick Championship layout app website thing that we make them on. And anyone who didn't get involved, shame on you, sad on you. It's going to be real fun this year. But Kevin isn't doing picks this year. His cousin Jimmy T is doing the picks.
Oh,
I don't know any too much about him. I've heard he likes corn. The MMA marks are doing it with us, Ricky and Buddy. Grampy Back. I don't know if Grampy Back's old lady Grammy Back is doing it too, but definitely Grampy Back. And Grampy Back got his picks in before everyone. Then the fights changed, and then saved his email. So this is why you should save your email if you're part of the Fight Pick Championship. And he actually ended up winning first place this week. And he missed one whole fight because he turned in his fight so early.
I heard he was playing cornhole with T City or whatever that guy's name was. Jimmy T.
Jimmy T. Cornhole. So
So I gotta say real quick, sorry, Mom. I did not mean that. Jesus.
So like we got Evan Montgomery's new. We got Jay Jeezer. He's new to the Fight Pick Championships. Corey Adam Comedy. Odin Kush. He has a show on Twitch. Really fun produced channel. Old school, new school. Granddaddy Juice still here doing the damn thing, singing all the way to the end. There's Krecken, D Krecken, Zero URB let's see, that's Jonathan Clown. I don't want to shout out people. These are people's emails I'm shouting out. There needs to be a better list of this. I didn't do it. I didn't do the whole thing.
What's their passwords? I need a new DraftKings account.
Yeah, Kill You All, Iconic Tragic, Take Ninja, and then we'll get a better list of everybody's shit so we can start shouting out. Or maybe we'll even talk to the guys so we can have something put out of the top 3 people each week. So those are the people we can give a little extra plugs to. And then some of these fools we might have on the show, which I think would be fun if you're into that.
I agree. I loved it. Thank you, everyone, for being on the inaugural Zoltan Twitch here. Thanks for Buddy MMA Marks, Ricky MMA Marks. We saw Jay Jeezer in the chats earlier. World Whining Federation showing up. I know you strategically left his name out of all of those, but I did have to bring it up again. So
I know. I always forget. It's the Champ too. Champ is here. You know what?
Well, thank you all for being a part.
It was a pretty good for a first stream on Twitch. It wasn't a bad showing for you, and I definitely think I'll stop the recording and everything after I send my love. But we should from the Twitch raid somebody, and I think you do /
okay.
Raid. Maybe somebody in the chat will tell us exactly what we have to write, and then you can pick someone who's streaming if we have one of our friends, and then we'll jump on their channel. So
right, are you able to moderate that?
I think you might have to do it. I don't know if I'm a moderator on your chat, but let me see who's on right now. Or maybe somebody can request someone and we'll just jump on over. Oh, Backlog is live. We jump over to Backlog time.
Backlog time. Going to
So to somebody on the chat, Jay Jeezer, if you're still there, what do we write in the box? No, will you just type us what we have to write, and then Emmanuel will do it? Because is it /raid or something?
Raid back. So I just type it into the chat itself
without the space. Does he have to put a / or anything? Yes. So /raid, no space, backlog time.
In the streaming info?
Yeah, right into the send message. And before you do that, do you want to LaTB us out?
LaTB!